Well, it's Friday. As you know, this is the day before we start the weekend. So today we're going to be reviewing Wrestling Revolver, a night at the MOXbury, where it features, of course, the the Revolver Championship on the line in a no disqualification match. We have, of course, the tag team titles will be defended. This will be Man Scout's first title defense against the members of Bullet Club. The Remix title and also the Prestige Wrestling title will be on the line in a Super Kick Falls Count Anywhere match. And of course, we got AEW Rampage. We have the Trios titles on the line. We got a bit of a preview match with Rush until he faced Brian Danielson on Dynamite this coming Wednesday. And then finally, we're going to find out who levels up on this episode of NXT Level Up. And then we're going to cap it up with, of course, news updates, what's been going on in the world of pro wrestling. So, let's get ready for another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome, everybody, to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J-Rod here. So, let's begin with Wrestling Revolver, a night at the MOXbury. This is a show kind of like hosted by none other than Jon Moxley. Now, no, in case anybody asks, he's not wrestling in this particular event. I don't think he's permitted due to the deal that he signed with AEW. If you guys remember, he's completely done with the GCW things. I'm not sure about the whole Wrestling Revolver, which is, of course, Sami Callihan's promotion, but I'm sure that the deal is he could make appearances, but he cannot be wrestling. So hopefully that can come into light for me. But first things first, our opening match, we have, of course, Evil Uno. I think this is his debut. He faces Jake Chris. I thought this match was pretty good because, Evil Uno, as you know, he's a bit of a clever guy, but Jake Chris, he's a dangerous guy. Sometimes I ask myself, how will Evil Uno did it? Well, he pulled off something evil to put away Jake Chris, giving him his first win in Wrestling Revolver. Now, our next match, we have the women's taking place. We have Blair Onyx taking on Marina Shafir. Now, you probably can guess that this match ended in Marina Shafir when she applied a submission. But however, post-match, Marina Shafir decided that she's going to hurt more Blair Onyx until Billy Stark shows up to teach her a lesson to stay away from hurting other wrestlers. Now, our next match, this one is a Speedball Open Invite Scramble. We have Speedball Mike Bailey versus the Base God Gringo Loco versus one half of Infrared, or should I call them the scumbag, Taylor Matrix versus Jarrett Diaz versus Fulton, and then, of course, versus Jessica. Now, the X Factor here, we see that Fat Lard, Phil Stomper getting involved, and also Logan James, Tyler Matrix, Infrared tag team partner. So those are the X Factor that took place. But however, this match is like any other scramble match. Anything could happen at any given time. But there was a moment where, of course, the match could have won in favor if it wasn't for Logan James getting himself involved, but he got his ass whooped for it. But in the end, it was Speedball Mike Bailey who picked up the win when he picked up a pinfall onto Diaz, and it was over right from there. So it was a great moment right there. Now, our next match is a Pures Rules match. We have the leader of the unit, JT Dunn, taking on Willard Yuta. Now, JT Dunn is he is a good wrestler, but he's a total a-hole because he decided to play dirty by breaking the rules of course, of the Pure Rules match. However, Moxley was in commentary. He said that he's only 50 feet away from the match. He was willing to be there in case any shenanigans made by Phil Stomper and Alley Catch. I don't think they don't want to be around that, but however, of course, Wheeler Yuta was able to overcome everything that JT Dunn throw at him. It did not. He applied the seatbelt onto him. 1, 2, 3, it's over. But however, JT Dunn cannot believe that he lost. I'm sure right now he is in a funk. I don't think he's been the same ever since losing the Revolver Championship to Trey Miguel. But now he's screwed. He can't get that belt back now that it's in the hands of Steve Maclin. Now, speaking of Steve Maclin, this time we have Crash Jackson, who has been pissed off with Steve Maclin, stole 2 wins from him in scramble matches, but however, this time it's personal. So it was a pretty good match. You probably thought this is going to be a pound for pound house fight, and it did. It kind of went in that direction. However, we thought that when Crash Jackson applied the crash bomb, it did not work. Same thing with Steve Maclin, but no, it did not work. It took only a DDT for Steve Maclin to put away Crash Jackson and to retain his title. So that put everything on that. Now our next match is another championship match. We have the tag team titles. We have Bullet Club, Chris Bay and Ace Austin, along with Gia Miller taking on Man Scout, Dan the Dad, and Jake Manning. I thought this match was pretty fun and very impressive because we have seen how established Chris Bay and Ice Austin have been, even when they went to Japan. And I think that said it all. But it took a 1-2 sweet, and it was over. Right when they took out Jake Manning and making Bullet Club our brand new Revolver Tag Team Champions. So I thought it was a pretty good match. Now our next match, we have Billy Starks versus Alley Catch. We know that they have some history with each other. Uh, Billy Starks and Alley Catch have been going back and forth with each other ever since Alley Catch aligned herself with the unit, especially JT Dunn. You probably would have thought that Alley Catch would have won this one because, of course, we have those scumbags, Phil Stomper and JT Dunn being there. But however, that did not go so well. It took a swanton by Billy Starks to pick up the win and give it that. But however, as soon as the match was over, we saw Marina Shafir, who it went on a mission, having forgotten what happened earlier, decided to attack her and put her in a guillotine lock, basically losing control. But we probably will see Billy Starks get her revenge on Marina Shafir for what she just did. Now our next match is the Remix and the Prestige title, both of them on the line against Rich Swann in a Falls Count Anywhere super kick match. This match was insane. Like, I don't know exactly how the super kick works, but it was effective for Alex Shelley to put away Rich Swann in order to retain the title. So it would make sense. Now, as soon as we're getting ready to make our main event, we had what's his name? Damian Chambers show up along with Johnny E. Bravo, who, Chambers has not been booked for any events, but once again, he got himself beat up when he got Death Ridered by Jon Moxley. So it's like, adios, nice seeing you. So that's how it goes. Now, our main event, we have a no disqualification 6-man tag team championship. We got Second Gear Crew, Matthew Justice, One Call Manders, and Mance Warner taking on the Rascals. Myron Reed, Zachary Wentz, and Trey Miguel. I thought this match was pretty fun and very impressive. But I kind of figured this was going to go in favor of the Rascals because they are a well-established team, as you know. But it took only a pinfall by Trey Miguel to pick up the win for his team, and that kind of goes. So congratulations, guys, on your win. And I think that's pretty much it we have with Wrestling Revolver. Let's move on with AEW Rampage. Okay, AEW Rampage opened up with the AEW World Trios Championship. We got the challengers Ethan Page, or Isaiah Cassidy, and Matt Hardy taking on the Elite. Now, if you saw what happened this Wednesday, Page made it clear that their team has been working nonstop, while the Elite have their week open. So that kind of sets it off. But I thought this match was pretty good. But however, you know how this will turn out. It was probably going to go in favor of the Elite because sooner or later, Ethan Page's ego was going to get the better of him. But however, that ego led into, of course, leaving Isaiah Cassidy alone when all three members of the Elite applied the the BTE trigger, and it was over right from there. So they retain the titles. Now we do get an interview with Ricky Starks. Now he knows what he got himself into. It's no secret that he's a loudmouth, charismatic person. So he realized, yes, my mouth got me in trouble, so I have to do what I got to do. So he's acting like a fighting champion. And even though he's not the champ, I feel like he's not going to back down no matter what the JSA has to say. But he said he will always find a way. I mean, he always has been, and that's always been his character. So we'll see what happens then. Now, as you know, Lethal, Sanjay, Jarrett, and Singh are happy with things they have been doing. Not to mention, they refuse to give back the global war back to Paul Walker Hauser, since they claim they are the true winners. But now they have to face against Danhausen, Trent Beretta, Chuck Taylor, and of course, Orange Cassidy. So I can't wait to see that. But I wouldn't be surprised if Hauser shows up, whacks Jarrett with a guitar, or Sanjay Dutt, and for that matter. Now, our next match, we have Brian Pillman Jr. versus Swerve Strickland. Now, this was a match that Strickland called out. It appears he has issues towards second generation wrestlers. That includes Brian Pillman Jr. We all know his dad, what he's done, especially guys like Dustin Rhodes, who we know is a second generation wrestler. You probably thought that in this way, Brian Pillman, would do everything in his power to not get beat up, but however, he had to keep his eyes open against the Mongol affiliated. But it only took Swerve a double foot stomp onto Pillman to finish the job. But however, apparently the barking orders by Swerve to his affiliates took out Brian Pillman. But luckily, Dustin Rhodes showed up with an equalizer, giving the Swerve and the Mongol affiliates the skedaddle. So that's pretty much it. Now, as you know, we have been seeing cryptic messages with Malachi Black. It appears that he had one goal in mind, was to tear apart Eddie Kingston and Ortiz. It appears he never wanted him to join. So he played these mind games, and Eddie Kingston played right in his trap, and also caused possibly the rift between both Ortiz and him. So who knows how the relationship will be fixed or rekindled. Now, the war in the women's division continues. We have, of course, Toni Storm and Saraya, who are the wrestlers who've been around in other companies, against the originals like the Renegade Twins, Charlotte and Robin. This war has been escalating even further. Don't forget, this past Wednesday, they attacked Britt Baker, so he's going to be out for quite some time. But in this case, the Saraya and Toni Storm took their frustrations out. But however, it was Toni Storm with the Storm Zero onto Robin, giving them the win. However, in their post-match, they actually put a loser sign on their stomachs to tell them they're a bunch of losers. Now, Adam Cole, as you know, he is back. We don't know yet when he'll be returned. We don't even know his first opponent. I hope this is a big challenge for him, since we don't know how much ring rust he has since he went on injury. So we'll be waiting on that. Now, our main event, we have Christopher Daniels versus Rush. Now, you probably guessed this was going to turn violent because of Rush, because he doesn't play well with the rules. You can normally say it did. There was some moments, of course, Christopher Daniels has to deal with that weasel Jose, and of course that traitor Preston Vance. But things did not go well for him until he ended up with the bull's horn onto him, giving Rush the win. It was a pretty good match. So now Rush will be focusing against Bryan Danielson this coming Wednesday. So stay tuned for that. So let's end the reviews with, of course, NXT Level Up. Okay, who levels up on this episode of NXT Level Up? So let's find out. Our first match, we have Sol Ruka taking on Lash Legend. Now, these two women have bigger heights, the same height, similar, but however, you have the power of Lash Legend, but you got the agility of the flexibility by Sol Ruka. So how would that play out? Now, there was moments where we saw Lash Legend seems that she had everything under control, but however, the one thing that keeps her from getting that victory that she's supposed to be winning was getting too much tension, and that causes her. And of course, this led for Soruka to use the Soul Snatcher to pick up the win. So that was impressive, as always. Now, we do get an interview with Kelly Kincaid, with Brooks Jensen, and Josh Briggs. However, Josh Briggs and Brooks Jensen are set to face in a main event against Zion Crane and Bronco Lima. But however, Briggs did say that he wants both Fallon Henley and Kiana James to work up some moves because they got a big tag team match for the titles the following day. But he said, let's call them business as usual. So we'll get to that in a bit. Now, our next match, we have Big Body Javier taking on Oba Femi. This match seems like it could have gone in the favor of Oba Femi if it wasn't for Big Body Javi, who ever since starting out he found new ways to cut the corners to pick up the win. So he blindsided Oba Femi, and once he rolled him up, he used the tights against him, and that allowed him to win. So sooner or later, Big Body Javi will have to lose the match the next time in a humiliating fashion. This is me. Now we got Brooks Jensen and Josh Briggs taking on Bronco Lima and Zach Quinn. I thought this match was a hot fight. Now, people would say, how come they did not participate in that match that would lead them to get a tag team title shot? However, they did stated that the only reason they're not going to get involved is because they don't want to be around Gallus, who they had to deal with so many times. So sooner or later, that will be under contingency. So we will see when that happens. But it was a pretty good match. It took, of course, a big boot by Briggs onto Quinn to pick up the win. So I have to say it was a pretty good show, pretty good matches that they have, how they presented. I did, as always, I'm impressed with Soruka, and of course Briggs and Jensen. Sooner or later, they will go back to tag team title hunts when the moment arrives. So we'll see what happens. And don't forget, we do got Vengeance Day, so pay attention to that. So right now, let's move on with some news updates. Okay, welcome to our news update. So this is what we have for now. As you know, we talked about the WWE sale for quite some time about, potential buyers. However, Nick Khan kind of gave us the insight saying that the sale will be lasting up to 3 months until it goes through. I know a lot of fans are probably unhinged because we don't know what's going to happen. We know that the talent people are still unhinged on that. We just don't know who will be the potential buyer to buy WWE. However, he did stated that once the sales go through, Vince will be gone from the company. So he only came back to see the company be sold through. So that's a good thing, but some people probably think this is a bad thing. I'm not sure. Now, moving on. You may have heard the most shocking news. As you know, The Rock's mom ended up in a car accident in the middle of the night. Luckily, she's okay. The car was damaged, but The Rock did state it, that he was thankful that his mom is still alive. He did ask for fans to hug your mom and dad tight because you may never know when it will be the last time you'll see them. And we all feel that same moment every time when things like that happen. Because I always tell my mom how much I love her, because I may never hear that one day, but I always tell her about that. So if I were you guys, tell your mom, your dad how much you love them. Now, an interesting interview by with Vicky Guerrero and the Excuse Me podcast. She has spoken with Willow Nightingale, and Willow Nightingale, as you know, she is one of the new stars in AEW. She brought up an idea. Now, this is something that has been talked before. She said that she would like to AEW to have the women's tag teams titles. I'm sure many fans would see that. Now, I know some of you may have some mixed feelings about this, but let's be honest. We see now with the Knockouts division how it's being presented in Impact. I have to say they were doing far more better, and I feel with the WWE Women's Championship Tag Team titles, they've been not giving them the proper respect. But hopefully, if that's the case, it would happen. Even Vicky Guerrero says she likes the idea. I mean, Marina Shafir and Nyla Rose are established tag team, so anything could happen. We know we had that AEW Women's Tag Team Tournament back in 2020, but we don't have the belt. So hopefully we get to see that. So we'll see when that happens. WrestleCon has announced that for their meet and greet, we're going to have the Young Bucks and Goldberg making their appearance. So if you guys are planning to go to the WrestleMania week to check out the WrestleCon, now you know. Now for our final thing, the GCW updates. The GCW versus DDT that will take place on the 31st of March. They revealed Dark Sheik will be facing against Saki Akai. I'm looking forward to that. Saki Akai, she is amazing. The world on Lucha announced that the GCW World Tag Team titles will be on the line between Los Macizos and La Familia de Tijuana. I think that's going to be Damien 666 and his son Bestia 666. I'm looking forward to that. And then finally, Effie's Big Gay Brunch has announced that Sandra Moon will be making her appearance as well. So that's pretty much what we have for everything else. I think let's just call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, as you know, we have more New Japan with New Beginning. I'm looking forward to that. We also got Choco Pro back. As you know, the Best Bros make their return to Choco Pro. I'm looking very excited to see that. But also, as we speak, we have, of course, Stardom with their latest event that took place. I forgot what they call it. We do feature 3 championship matches, and of course we got a Russian roulette match. I think two triangle derby matches, but that'll be some other time. So we'll go from there and then cap it up with everything else. So I think for now, I'll see you guys in the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. And have a nice day.